On Louisville's west side on a hot and humid night, a woman falls asleep alone. Just before 6 a.m., she's awakened by a stranger in her bed.
He fondled me and stuff. I knew what was going to happen. He made it point blank that he wasn't going to take no for an answer because he hit me with that stupid flashlight.
Lisa Leach is blind, so the attacker will always be faceless to her. Leach can, however, sense bright lights.
And then he put that flashlight in my face, like he thought I could see it. He thought he was doing something, but he wasn't.
The man rapes Lisa Leach, and Leach puts reality on hold, removing herself from the moment and waiting for the rest of her life to begin.
When it happens, you're not thinking. You are not thinking. You're just happy you're alive, and you seal your house, and you run and wake up all your kids and check on them, and then you go and call your mother, and then your mother says, call the police, and you're like, why and what, and you just don't know. You're not thinking.
Louisville police arrive on scene and find a stepladder under Leach's open window. They believe the rapist simply climbed up and into her bedroom. At a local hospital, a nurse collects semen and sends it to the crime lab. Lisa Leach awaits the results.
Initially, yeah, I thought it was going to be real quick. I thought they'd get him real quick because, you know, I thought someone would say something or someone had saw something or something. But it never happened.
The crime lab gets a DNA profile, but it does not match any offenders in the state database, nor anyone on a short list of suspects. Within 2 weeks, Lisa Leach moves far away from Louisville. Her case grows cold, and a rapist with a flashlight slips into obscurity. May breezes waft through Louisville's Germantown neighborhood, a blue-collar quarter where everyone knows their neighbor and many sleep with windows open. Michelle Steinmacher is fast asleep when she's awakened by an intruder.
I was sleeping on my stomach, and he was practically like on top of me and had my arms tied behind my back with my belt and had a pair of pants of mine strangling around my neck. That's the first thing I ever knew.
Steinmacher is gasping for air and can neither scream nor fight. The man drags her to the floor and rapes her with such violence that Steinmacher fears she will not survive the attack. The rapist leaves, and Louisville police arrive at the scene. Steinmacher tells them her attacker had a flashlight.
In my face. And it blinds you to where all you can see is basically a silhouette of who's standing in front of you.
Steinmacher knows only that he's a white man with brown hair and a slight build. Detective Marty Higgs has heard this before.
I knew that because of the MO and everything else, that this was going to be the flashlight rapist.
3 weeks earlier, another Louisville woman had been raped. Like Steinmacher, she was attacked in her home. Like Steinmacher, she was blinded by a flashlight. Higgs submits semen evidence from both cases to the Kentucky State Crime Lab. DNA analyst Sandra Hill processes the samples.
When I ran those, they matched each other, but then they also hit back to this other case we had no idea about, so it was a cold hit.
The hit is to the Lisa Leach case, now 2 years cold. Forensic DNA tells Higgs the rapist was active at least 2 years ago, and after a hiatus, is once again on the hunt. By summer's end, DNA confirms at least 4 sexual assaults to be the work of the flashlight rapist. Well past midnight, a crime scene that is now all too familiar begins to unfold. An intruder slips through a window and into a bedroom, a small flashlight clutched between his teeth. But this time, when he climbs into the victim's bed, the would-be rapist discovers he has company.
He was trying to sexually assault her with her boyfriend actually in the bed. She was thinking that it was her boyfriend at the time. She was trying to push him off, and that's when the boyfriend realized that there was somebody else in the bed with them.
The boyfriend chases the attacker out of the house, but the intruder makes good his escape. In the kitchen, however, he has left something behind.
We were able to actually find a small flashlight left at the scene, of this particular attempt sexual assault.
The item is bagged and sent to Sandra Hill at the crime lab. If the rapist carried the flashlight in his mouth, he might have left some saliva and his DNA behind.
And I tested the swabs as well as the flashlight for saliva. I extracted the DNA from that and received the profile that matched all these other semen profiles.
The unknown profile matches DNA found at 4 other assaults attributed to the flashlight rapist. The attacker himself, however, continues to elude authorities. That string of luck is about to run out when the flashlight rapist inadvertently targets the home of a cop. In a 3-bedroom house on the edge of Louisville, a man works late into the night. His name, Joe Richardson, newly minted head of Louisville's sex crimes unit. His reading material, a stack of unsolved rape cases.
I had all the case files pulled, had copies made, so I took them home and started reading about them, because I knew this was a case that wasn't going to go away until he was caught.
In his study of the flashlight rapist, Richardson spots an intriguing pattern. In addition to raping his victims, the offender often stole jewelry or cash. Richardson wonders if this rapist didn't start out as a second-story thief.
Maybe the flashlight wasn't just for blinding victims. Maybe it was for keeping it in his mouth when he was going through drawers of the house. He's a burglar, stealing stuff.
In neighborhoods where the rapist had attacked women in the past, Joe Richardson finds clusters of home invasions, many of which included a sexual component. That is, the intruder would rob the home, then subdue and fondle his victim before leaving the house. Although not technically a felony rape, Richardson believes these crimes to be the work of the flashlight rapist. Bill Stivers is a Louisville detective. After a hard day at work, he's looking forward to some downtime. When he walks into his bedroom and discovers a night of peace and quiet is simply not in the offing.
I noticed the sounds of the outdoors were just a little bit clearer, a little bit crisper than they usually are. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it until I raised that blind and saw my broken window pane.
Stivers checks around for anything missing and notices his gold ring is gone.
Since police officers hate to be victims of crimes, he took it very personal and started to assist us in the investigation and took it upon himself to draw a sketch of this very unique ring.
Stivers faxes the sketch to local pawn shops, hoping the thief might try to fence the item. One of the faxes lands on the desk of Rick Walker, a local pawn shop owner who doesn't recognize the drawing and sticks it in a drawer.
About a week later, I purchased a ring, and after buying it, I realized I'd seen the ring before, and sure enough, it was the ring that was pictured on the fax.
When you pawn an item here in this county, you have to give identification and a fingerprint. So we then did have Joseph Cave as our suspect.
Joe Cave eventually confesses to at least 50 break-ins, most of them involving a flashlight. It's an M.O. that sounds familiar. Richardson procures a search warrant, and a week later draws a syringe full of Joe Cave's blood. 6 weeks after that, Sandra Hill has completed her DNA work.
I was standing there, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the profile.
He left his calling card and he got busted, and that was it.
Joe Cave is arrested and eventually pleads guilty to 5 counts of aggravated rape and 1 count of attempted rape. At his sentencing, 5 victims take the stand.
I still haven't put a face on him because, of course, I'm blind. And being secure for me has always been a big thing. And I do not have that anymore, period.
The judge sentences Cave to life, but with the possibility of parole in 20 years. The sentence is not enough for Lisa Leach, who is already planning her trip before the parole board.
If I have to go in there and be the most pitiless blind woman in the world to make them keep him, I swear I will.
Some victims were thinking about in 20 years they'll go in front of the parole board to testify against him too. But in 20 years, we don't have to worry about this guy in our community. And these victims don't have to be fearful that the same guy might come back and attack them. So I think we all won and Joe Cave lost.